I do want to bring up this talk on, hey, Sami Zayn is so over. We need to make a pivot for WrestleMania and do Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns for the undisputed title night 2.
I just rolled my eyes.
Love Sami Zayn. You guys know that. He was in my top 10 Wrestler of the Year award just from what he's been doing with the Bloodline. No way in the world should we go with Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn in Hollywood at WrestleMania this year. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Throw it to you guys. Is there any way you guys would rather have Sami versus Roman opposed to what we hope is Rock versus Roman?
I don't know why you even asked me that question. So then if you want to maybe pose it differently and say maybe Roman versus KO, that's more believable than Sami and KO.
Oh, no. Oh, see, no, I disagree with that. I think if it's not The Rock, okay, so all right, so let's change that. If The Rock's available, there is nothing else that I want to see more than Roman and Rock. Now, if The Rock's not available, okay, then maybe we can have this conversation of Sami against Roman. But if it's not, I mean, like, Eshaun, you have been a huge proponent of the Bloodline storyline. It has been appointment television for you every single week. If you find out now that, hey, okay, we're switching lanes and hopefully maybe Rock's available in 2 years down the line because he's, doesn't have movies or whatever's going on, but we're going to go with Sami and Roman. As big of a fan as you are of Sami right now, do you think that's a good call?
I think I might surprise you, man. I don't know if I would be totally against it, to be honest with you, man. Like, it's not what I expect, to be honest with you. But, man, Sami is on a hell of a run. Mm-hmm. He's on one hell of a run, and he's super popular. He might be one of the most popular characters next to Roman in that company, right? You got to think about the most over people in WWE. It got to be Roman, and, Sami can't be far behind.
So Seth is number 2. Seth is 2.
I don't want to see a Roman versus Seth, though, to be honest with you. I would much rather. We've seen it. We've done it.
Yeah, well, we've seen it this year at Rumble. Yeah, nope.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've done it. But think about continuing the storyline. What a hell of a storyline. Like, I don't know where this thing's going, but I know it can't end well for Sami, right? And whatever happens at the end of this story, people are going to want to lift Sami up, right? So he can go to the next stage, wherever that might be. So if it's to Roman at Mania for the championship match, that might not be a horrible idea, guys, considering where we're going right now. Because I didn't predict like a year ago that I would care this much about Sami Zayn, to be honest with you. So I'm not against it.
I would rather even put Jay before Sami. Jay has had this contention with Roman and having to acknowledge him, or even Jimmy had acknowledged him at one point when he came back. I would rather see Jay versus Roman, main event Jay, than Sami. I get the emotion is there with Sami, but when we talking about that bloodline, that storyline, if Roman can't be, if The Rock can't be there, I would rather see Jay go against Roman.
I think it has to be somebody in the bloodline, like the actual bloodline. This entire storyline, to me, is predicated on, I'm going to assume WrestleMania next year is close to the finale of this storyline. Maybe that's a wrong perception to have, but that's what I'm thinking. That, okay, if we get Rock, even if we don't get Rock, to your point, Rhodesia, if we get Jay, right? Okay, my assumption is there's got to be cracks in the foundation, and this is where it kind of rubber meets the road with either Roman losing the belt or the bloodline as we know it is no longer. Let's not forget that February is Elimination Chamber in Canada. That is the month. That is the pay-per-view that you go KO and Sami reunited and take the titles off the Usos. Now, that is a perfect story. That is something that nobody saw coming 6 months ago, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, probably even 3 months ago. But it makes sense now. You can still weave it into the story. No harm, no foul with the Tribal Chief storyline. But I think for us, because the assumption is going to be, if it's Sami versus Roman at Mania, Sami's going to win. Wouldn't that be the assumption? Fair
I
assumption
don't
to
want to
say?
see that. I don't know.
But I'm saying, if that was to
Not
happen, wouldn't you guys say, hey, Smart Money is probably with Sami winning that Universal title that night?
That'd be tough, but I mean,
I don't know.
But here's the thing, though. Like going into it, though, like I feel like this is such a perfect storyline. Whatever happens to Sami, like whatever deception that's done to him, like with the wrong that's done to Sami, it's going to be heartbreaking, right? And man, like these guys aren't actors. But damn it, man, Sami makes you feel something, right? You really like time. That segment. Like I forgot to mention it when we talked about War Games, but that's that conversation he had with Roman Reigns on War Games. The passion that he expressed in that segment, like you felt it, right? That felt real, right? He makes you believe in him. So when they let him down, it's gonna be high drama, and people are wanting to see him overcome that. And the biggest hill for him to climb isn't Jay. It's not Jimmy. It ain't Solo. It's going to be Roman, because whoever Roman has to give the orders to knock this dude out the bloodline, right? It's going to have ultimately it's going to come from him. So he would technically be the heel for Sami to climb, and maybe that heel might be at Mania, and maybe it is a title win. I think the fans will embrace it. I think Rhodesia, I think when we get there and once you get to that story, it's a lot of months going into that. I think you'll feel it as well.
No. Mm-mm.
She said no. But to your point, and we can move on. I do think the perfect storyline is him reuniting with his best friend, his brother, so to speak, and KO, and them taking the titles off of the Usos, who are now, of course, we know the longest reigning tag champs in the history of WWE. So I do think that is a fantastic story there.
Hey, Matt, right before you interject Rhodesia and Matt, you know what happened? Like, Kevin Owens would turn on Sami after reuniting with him, and then he would join the Bloodline if this was in AEW. But I digress. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, regardless of where we stand about who's facing at the Mania, no one thought that this actual storyline would get better, and it did at War Games. So that's
significantly better. Like it took a massive step forward.